Slightly better. I don't know how much of it. I'm going with it. We got a lot of table here. This would be a good setup if I were like showing things, but just talking today. Hey, Sean, I made a video earlier this week about my favorite things, like production things that I bought in 2021. And I wanted to make a video about some of my favorite things that I watched, listened to, or was otherwise entertained by, read, and then a couple of my favorite YouTube channels that I follow. I got the idea for this video from Adam Savage's channel, which I'll talk about in the YouTube channels part of it, but here we go. First off, I read a book. Technically, I started the book in June of 2020, but it took me a long time to finish the book. And so here in 2021, I put up Jenny Odell's How to Do Nothing as my book. And the subtitle of the book is Resisting the Attention Economy. It's not really about how to do nothing. And last January, I was talking quite a bit about it as I was doing most of the reading, and then I finished it up late this summer. It's just a really powerful book about where we invest our attention and our time, and what our attention means both as individuals and then collectively as a society when we truly focus on something, when something has our attention, how we're able to make changes to it. But when we're distracted, how those efforts can fail so quickly. And it was just an interesting read, and it was well cited with stories about activism, and then those followed up by stories about how like unions went on strike a long time ago, and then the companies trying to get them off strike were spreading misinformation campaigns and just stuff to anger people, which made them lose focus, which made them lose their cooperation and their attention, and so things collapsed. And so it was really interesting to look at how, even though everything's sort of digital now and it's easier to see the noise, it's the same principles at play and the same things that we choose, the decisions we make in our everyday life to say, I'm going to choose to give my attention to a Facebook feed for 20 minutes, for an hour, an Instagram feed, versus I'm going to put my attention into learning something, fixing something, having a conversation with somebody. And there's value to being on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not denying that, but I think you need to approach these things thoughtfully. And the book makes a great case for what it looks like to approach things thoughtfully and what the extremes on either end can look like, and where a sweet spot of survival and thrival is. So How to Do Nothing by Jenny Odell. Fantastic book. I highly recommend it. And if you read it, email me, and I'd love to talk to more people about the book, because I think it's a really, really powerful book. It was written pre-pandemic, but man, I feel like it only got more relevant and on the nose as the pandemic has continued to develop and mature. TV, I'll go quickly. I'm a Ted Lasso person. I really enjoyed watching Ted Lasso both seasons. The second season, I was skeptical for an episode, and then I reminded myself that it's dumb to hate things and to get mad at things and have unrealistic expectations, and then it blew me away. It really did. I think even if I had remained pessimistic, I still would have been won over, but it was just an enjoyable experience. It's a happy show. Similarly, we just finished watching Acapulco on Apple TV Plus, which is another like feel-good show with good characters and just an easy, watchable show with a little bit of drama, but it's fun. And over the course of this year, I've learned to not watch things that make me unhappy. I watched the movie Joker, and it just sort of bummed me out. And I realized like 90 minutes in, I wanted to see how it ended. And it was amazing. I mean, amazing acting, amazing writing, shot beautifully, an amazing piece of film. But I just was on edge and tense the whole time and felt awful. And at a point, it was like, I'm volunteering to feel like this right now. I'm choosing to spend an hour and a half of my life, 2 hours by the end of it, just feeling miserable and on edge. And then that stayed with me for a while. And I was like, man, I need to stop watching stuff like this. Like, I appreciate it, and it's cool, but man, it can take a toll on you if you get into that stuff. And then I watched Hunger Games, revisited that, and it hit me after a while of like, hey, I am just choosing to watch teenagers murder each other. That's what the movie is. And it's a weird thing to zoom out and like, how is this movie so popular? Or how was it so popular? It's an old movie now, but it made me look at, that happened to me earlier in the year, and it made me look at what I'm watching and what I really appreciate. And I watched Colbert's show, but I really liked Ted Lasso and Acapulco. And then the other one was The Repair Shop. And we just checked, and it is no longer on Netflix, which breaks my heart. You can find it on Amazon, but I think you have to like rent it or like pay-per-view or something. But a beautiful show with no drama, just people who are experts in their craft repairing things. And there's not this mindless, like, artificial drama of, you know, as they're repairing something, like clocks. There's this guy named Steve Fletcher who repairs clocks, and it's incredible to watch him work. And they don't add in the stuff of, like, I've only got one chance to do this right, and if I don't do this right, the whole thing's never going to work again. Like, it's always just like, yeah, I'm going to keep working at it, and it'll work. It might be a little tough, but we'll just keep working at it. And it was so, it's like therapeutic to watch, but then if you actually really try to pull a lesson out of it, it's not hard to see something like, you know, good effort and patience goes a long way, and learning to do things as you do them and being okay with being wrong, and then redoing and relearning and always being open to learning a new way of doing something is a really good way to live your life. So those are the four that I enjoy: Colbert, Ted Lasso, Acapulco, and The Repair Shop. Sure, British baking. Put that in there too. It just feels good to watch. What's up next? Podcasts. I have three on my list. If I Were You with Jake and Amir has been the podcast that it was the first podcast I ever started listening to, and I've listened to every episode over like the 8 years that they've been running it, and now they have a podcast network. And I just like those guys, and to hear them answer advice questions is funny, but then also to like follow their journey as humans, being comedy writers, being humans who are enduring being business owners during a pandemic and trying to make the right decisions, and being candid at times about the struggles they're in. It's just a good listen. And then on their network, there was a show that started right at the beginning of the pandemic called The Headgum Podcast. The Headgum is the name of their network. And it's just become this perfect balance of chaos where it's like a poorly run podcast, but it seems to be deliberately so, but not artificially so. And everyone, it seems, annoyed with the host who is doing a bad job, but still prepared and thoughtful, just misguided. And it's just this perfect balance where you listen to it, you're like, do they really hate him? Or you can tell they sort of think it's funny, but also it is a waste of their time to be there. It's a very interesting show, and I think a unique one that would be hard to just come up with and execute, but they have, and it's really fun to listen to for that reason. And then lastly, another Headgum podcast / Radio Point podcast, A Good Cry by Michael Cruz Kane, is him talking with celebrities about loss and people's struggles with losing loved ones and stuff. And he has a fascinating story, a tragic story in his life. And it's tough to listen to these episodes and just hearing these sad stories. And it's a weird thing to recommend, but there's so many lessons as somebody who hasn't experienced a lot of loss. And in 2021, I did lose my grandmother in the beginning of the year, and all the emotions around that and losing somebody during a pandemic when you don't have that regular communication, when you don't have that face-to-face, is really, really tough. And hearing about other people's struggle, grief can be a tough thing to talk about, and everyone handles it differently. And I think because of that, people sort of walk on eggshells and they don't want to talk about it. And it can be really tough. And just hearing these people who are seemingly functional, successful artists, and therefore celebrities, hearing them talk about how they handle these things, how they don't handle them, and where they've sought comfort and how they've grown from it, has just been fascinating. And while it's a downer a lot of times, it's also really peaceful, and it always sort of ends happy in how these people are processing things. And a reminder that so many people are going through stuff, and you may see somebody laughing on TV and being funny and successful, but there's so much going on behind the scenes, and having that perspective to remember that anyone you meet, might be going through, even though it looks like they're trying to do their job as the cashier wherever, dealing with whomever is not wearing masks and whatever else is going on in their job, they're a complete person, and outside of work, they may be struggling with any number of things. And so maybe that's the theme of everything that I've consumed this year, is humanizing people and remembering that everyone has a story. That's really important and really easy to lose sight of, especially in a pandemic when we're all, to an extent, in some sort of survival mode and trying to figure out how to raise our kids, how to keep our families safe, how to continue to earn money, how to balance safety and risk so that you can still have life experiences and build relationships. It's tough, but everyone's doing the same thing. And everyone's reflecting and reminding yourself that you've got an agenda, but pursuing that agenda in a way that is acknowledging other people and their agendas and handling things in a way that's altruistic is really important. And so maybe that's the theme of all of this. What else is on this list? Oh, we're almost done. Lastly, the YouTube channels. My YouTube channel list of my favorite channels is sort of weird because I don't care about the subject matter sometimes, but let me get into it. First up is Adam Savage's Tested, and it's all about making things in his workshop and these one-day builds and him like recreating props and all these DIY solutions and all these fantastic machines that can build things and tools. And he's an expert with just so much experience, and he's eager to share it, and he's passionate about what he does. And even though I'm not a maker in that sense, I'm not a physical creator, it's so cool to watch him talk. And his book I read 2 years ago, and it's just, it expands beyond what he does, and all of the lessons in his work expand beyond, like when he's sharing thoughts about lessons he learned about a drill press. Yeah, it's lessons that you can apply to the drill press in your life, but it's also stuff that it's not hard to just sort of blur the lines and say, well, I'm not really using a drill press, but the relationship I have with my supervisor, the relationship I have, what I'm trying to do with making my car keep working, they transcend these specific situations, and it's really easy to apply them to other things in life and learn lessons that are bigger than the drill press. And so I really like his channel, and it was his favorite things of 2021 that inspired me to do mine. And the books that he recommended, I bought 2 of those books, and I'm excited to sit down and read those over the next couple weeks. Other YouTube channels, Captain Disillusion, who does VFX breakdowns and stuff like that. His channel's so thoughtful. And again, I'm not like super into visual effects, and he's into movies that I'm not into, but seeing his passion for that and seeing how carefully he crafts a video. And his YouTube videos are works of art, and they're not only are they full of visual effects, which take a while to produce, but they're also well written, well shot. Like the jokes are well integrated into these things and well executed. And it's just a cool channel of it. It's a guy who looks like he's having fun, and I support him on Patreon, and seeing the behind the scenes looks is always kind of neat to see. Yeah, he's still learning, he's still trying things, he's still making mistakes. And I guess that's the other thing with Adam Savage's channel that I like. He's still learning, he's still making mistakes, and open about that. And that's who I try to be, and who I hope I am as I continue to get older. The other 2 YouTube channels that I put on my list, Donut Media. I do not care about cars. I do not care about cars or car culture, but their content's really well done, and it's entertaining. And again, they look like they're having fun with it, and it's just fun to watch and fun to see their channel grow. I've been following them for a while, but I don't care about cars. I just like their stuff and like spending time with them and seeing their thoughts on the world and what matters to them. And lastly, on the other end of things, Foolish Baseball makes a series called Baseball Bits. I don't watch baseball. I don't care about baseball. I haven't been to a Cardinals game in years. And it's just a well-written, well-executed series. And he takes stats and stuff that I don't understand and I don't care about, but he presents it in such an interesting way that it makes me interested in the people he's talking about, the way that he talks about them. And so those are my channels that I find very interesting, and maybe you would too, but that's what I'm sharing today. So I already harped on it little soapbox style, but I think this year has been about learning and being patient and being vulnerable and being patient. And the content that either walks me through how to do that or exposes how other people are approaching that in their own lives or demonstrating how they're doing that in their own lives is stuff that is resonating with me this year and probably will for a very long time. Thanks for watching. I hope that you're enjoying your journey of being vulnerable and continuing to learn. And if you're somebody who watches this video and you're patient enough to make it all the way to this part of the video, that means a ton to me. And it's a fascinating thing to have people who are willing to spend their time listening to you. And an audience is a special and very unique thing. And so I thank you sincerely for being a part of mine. And I said this in the other video, but we started making some Boom merch and some sweatshirts and things like that. And if you want a discount code, throw something in the comments or shoot me an email, and I'll send you a discount code. And I'm barely making any money on these things anyway. It's more about making fun stuff and sharing it with people and learning from it. And when none of this stuff sells, revisiting it in a year and saying, what did I do wrong? What did I learn? And can we try again and make some cool stuff? That's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure what other videos I will make yet this year, but if you don't see another one of my videos before 2022, have a very happy new year. That's all I got. See you later. Bye.